जीत के द्वंद्व में कभी निराश न होता हो, हार जीत के द्वंद्व में कभी निराश न होता हो, जीवन के साए मेघों को खुशी खुशी भर लेता हो, आंचल में बसी हो करुणा, आंचल में बसी हो करुणा, मुख में ज्ञान की धारा हो, मुख में ज्ञान की धारा हो, क्योंकि वही है सच्चा जिसने अहंकार को मारा हो, अहंकार को मारा हो। पीकर जहर सभी के दिल का, पीकर जहर सभी के दिल का, जीवन खूब सवारा हो, जीवन खूब सवारा हो, योगी वही है सच्चा जिसने अहंकार को मारा हो, अहंकार को मारा हो, योगी वही है सच्चा जिसने अहंकार को मारा।
Om Shanti. So, we heard the song. All of you understand Hindi? Is there anybody who doesn't understand Hindi? Okay. Anand bhai. Okay. Fine. So, only the song is in Hindi, otherwise we are doing it in English. In India, at least some Hindi has to be there. Otherwise, it doesn't look like India. All right. So let's spend a few minutes reflecting on the fact that I'm a soul and my qualities, and then we'll start. Sit still. Keep your body still and relaxed. Gently turn your attention inwards. Unplug your attention from the world outside, from the body, and turn it to yourself. And as you do so, experience that you're closing the doors and windows of your eyes and ears as you go inside. I close my doors and windows of the eyes and ears and go inside. I am alone with myself. I am the light, the star. It's such a good feeling to be with myself. There is no one but me. In my full splendor, in my complete beauty and radiance, I shine blissfully. I am aware that I am a being of love. This loveful being that I am is radiating the energy of acceptance, belonging, and care to everyone. My nature is acceptance. My nature is to feel everyone belonged. My nature is to care for each and everything and everyone around me. I am loveful. This is my nature. Irrespective of who or what is around, I am always loveful. I accept people, situations, and things as they are, not questioning, not judging, not complaining, completely embracing and accepting each one and each thing as they are. This is me. This is my nature. My love is my power. This energy of love that I am is very transformative in nature. My sense of acceptance, belonging, and care uplifts and inspires other people. I am a loveful being. Look at yourself radiating this beautiful energy of love, a love that heals, a love that transforms. Just sit in this feeling for some time. Om Shanti. So, we will talk about ego today, which that's why I played that song Yogi Wahi Hai Sacha Jisne Ahankar Ko Mara Ho. But before that, we will talk about love. So, I want to ask you, which of these two sentences are better? First, I love, and there is a fill in the blank, okay? So I love you, it, this, that, and the other. And the second is, I am love. I am love, or I love you, or this, or that, or the other. Second one. All right. So, second one. Thank you. So, I am love. Okay. So, if but in this class it is very nice to say that I am love, but basically we don't operate like this in the world out there. It's always like I love you and I don't love you, or I love this and I don't love this. So even let alone love, even for likes we have likes and dislikes. So I don't like this or I don't like that. Now, who are you to like somebody or love somebody or decide whether somebody or something is worthy of love or not. Are we anybody to decide whether someone is love worthy or something is love worthy or not? Everything is nature's creation. Everyone is entitled to be who they are, right? You can choose how to be with them, but you cannot reject anybody. Okay, so you are nobody to dislike somebody or something for who they are. Okay, you can choose to engage with them more or less depending on how much you want to engage with them, but you don't have any right to reject a creation of nature. So, if somebody or something is a certain way, they are entitled to be that way. Okay, so if somebody is rude or if somebody is mischievous or if somebody is troublesome, so they have a right to be who they are. I cannot question why are you the way you are. I can choose to engage less or more with them. Now, what happens when I say I don't love you or I don't like you? So I block my energy of love. Okay, so I can physically choose to engage less, that is my prerogative. But if I block my energy of love and create hatred or create judgment or create a feeling of dislike or neglect or rejection towards the other person, then I am the consumer of what I create. So if you create hatred, you consume it. Nobody else consumes it. So the hatred or the dislike or the rejection or the feeling of neglect or denial or whatever we create is what we experience. So it's never a good idea to not love somebody. Okay, so it's always a good idea to be love. Be loveful and accepting of whoever and whatever they are or it is. And then, yes, engaging or not engaging, we can choose. But if I create an energy of rejection or dislike or hatred, then I suffer because I am blocking my energy of love, which is very crucial to my flow of life. So I will be I feeling more lively and living inside if all the seven juices of the soul flowed nicely. So these seven juices, this knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power, need to be in circulation always. So just like if your blood is not getting circulated well, you don't have a healthy body. So these juices of the soul also need to be in good circulation. And if you block them because of your preferences and your prejudices and whatnot, then that less of that juice is available to you, and then it makes you feel dry and it makes you feel that life is not good enough, or it doesn't make you feel robust and energetic and full of life and enthusiasm the way you would feel if you just allowed your feelings of love, purity, peace, happiness to flow unabated, irrespective of who or what is in front. Okay, you could even suggest somebody that I think if you did this like this, it would be better, but then I don't mind even if you continue doing like this. Okay, so why do I have to get upset? Okay, they could do better if they did it this way, and I could suggest to them lovingly and politely, but then I shouldn't have a problem by people being the way they are. Because if I have a problem with they being the way they are, then there is something inside me that is getting in trouble because of the way they are. So I need to work on what is it that is causing me trouble. All right. So I in a previous session I told you that if you are feeling uncomfortable, ask yourself what is it inside me that is making me feel uncomfortable in this situation. So there is my sanskar that is making it difficult for me, not they. So love, I am love, and I should always be okay with who they are or what it is and how it is in the world out there. And I can choose to operate differently depending on the situation, but I should not compromise on my inner feeling of love and respect and embracing of who and what it is. Got it. What is not wrong from our side is blaming. Okay. So the thing is, if somebody tells you something, see, blame is a subjective word. Okay. So let's break down this blame. Somebody is telling you something, right? They said something. So when people say something, it is either true or false. Two possibilities are there. It is either true or false. If it is true, you can choose how to behave in that scenario. Like if somebody is pointing out something and you think that it is true and you think that you should change it, change it. If you don't want to change it, don't change it. But then it doesn't matter if they are saying it. So if it is true, this is the scenario. If it is false, it is anyways false. Then why do you have to react? There is a lot of things in this world that are false and lies. So do you react to everything? So I tell you an incident about this. So if it is false, then it is false. Then you don't have to react to what is false. So there was one brother, and he came to me, and he was a journalist, and he sat across me and he told me, I don't believe in organizations, and I don't know what you people do here, and I am not sure what kind of activities go on here, and this and that. So he kept giving his opinion, and I kept quiet. So then he said, don't you have anything to say? So I said, okay, you want me to say something? So he said, no, like I said something. So I said, okay, I don't agree with you, so I don't have to say anything. I can choose to agree or not agree. So then he said, no, but I would like to know whether what I'm saying is true. So I said, okay, so now that you are specifying that you want me to corroborate or reject whatever you said, so let me tell you something. My observation is you are not a good journalist, and people who hired you should not have hired you. So he said, why? So I said, because you don't even know your profession very well. You are sitting across me and asking me to tell you if something is going wrong. So I don't think any person would do that. So if I am doing something wrong, why will I tell you? I will not tell you. So this is not the way you go about investigating. You are investigating, right? So I will teach you how to investigate. You sit here, and by talking like this, you can't investigate. So what you do is you come 4 times a day, unannounced, spend an hour here, look into whatever is going on. You can, from the beginning to the end of the center, you can just move around, and every day you do this for at least a month, and then maybe you will find out something. So if you really want to find out something, you have to invest your time and energy. It doesn't come that free. So can we get back to study now? So he had a very good laugh, and then he said, Okay, so yes, you are right. I'm sorry. So I said, no, you don't need to be sorry. And I am not offended by whatever you said. You are welcome to your opinion. You live in a free country and you can do whatever you want. So this is what, if somebody is giving you an opinion with which you don't agree, why do you have to react to that? Okay, so you know why we react? Because we are not very sure about ourselves. So people who live their life based on validation from others will react when you face rejection from others. So it's not rejection that is the problem, it is validation that is the problem. Okay, so if your opinion of yourself is not based on other people's opinion of you, then you will not react to other people's opinion if it changes. All right, so this is why we are on this journey of having an opinion about yourself. So we do not have an opinion about ourselves. We have an opinion about ourselves which is totally based on other people's opinion of us. All right, so what we are learning here is true knowledge, and I will mention at this point that the source of this knowledge is God Himself, and it is not some abstract idea about God that I'm talking about. I'm talking about God as a conscient living energy who talks and tells what is what. So this knowledge that you're getting here is based on Bhagwanu Vach, which is what God has said. So that is why when you are listening to this knowledge, and if you apply this, then you will be in a position to know yourself as an entity, and in a manner which is not influenced by some human mind. So we all have an identity of ourselves based on something that comes from a human source. But no, today we are understanding who we are based on a divine source. So this is very important, and this is why every day we are learning who we are. So when I say I'm a peaceful, loveful, blissful, happy, powerful soul, then I should act in accordance to who I know I am. And then I will have enough confidence that I am this. And if somebody challenges it, you will not give it any second of your time, or give it a thought or your energy, or you will not try to bring them to agree that you are nice or good, because it doesn't matter. All right, and truth prevails. Let me tell you this, truth prevails. You will never have to, if you have to prove what is true, then it is not true. Okay, so any truth doesn't need to be proved. Truth prevails, and you can just be yourself, be true, and this is enough for truth to prevail. All right, so and this I'm not talking just like that. I have seen proofs of these things in my journey, and that's why I'm telling you this, that you don't need to prove that you're true, and if you need to prove, then there is some problem and you're not true. All right, so now I want to talk about ego today. Now ego is, let me first define ego for you, and then we will understand the nitty gritties of it. So ego is identifying with something you are not, identifying with something that you are not. Okay, so ego is when you think you are something and you are not that. Okay, now who are you? You are a soul. All right? You are a being of light, being of love, peace, purity, happiness, bliss, and power. That is all that is about you. There is no other, there is nothing else to you that is not covered in this definition. So I am a being which is knowledgeful, pure, peaceful, loveful, happy, blissful, powerful. That is the end of the story. You are nothing more and nothing less than that. You are not less than a soul, you are not more than a soul. All right? Now, in the beginning, now when that beginning was, we will talk about that in some other lesson. But in the beginning, we were a soul conscious soul. I was a soul conscious soul. So maybe you can assume that 5,000 years back, you, the soul, were in a different body. And in that body, when you were there, you were soul conscious. So, what does that mean? You were very aware that you are a soul, you are knowledgeful, loveful, peaceful, powerful, pure, blissful, etc., etc., right? And you operated from inside to outside. You knew I am happy, so I need to stay happy. I am blissful, so I stay blissful. I am loveful, so I behave lovefully. It's not got anything to do with other people or situations. Okay? Now, today, if I ask you, why are you happy? So, there is an external reason for it. All right? You will say, I am happy because it's a sunny day. I am happy because it's raining. I am happy because I got a hike in salary. I am happy because I was afraid of something and it didn't turn out that way. So, if your happiness has a reason, then every reason has a season. And when the season will end, the reason will end, and your happiness will also end. Okay, so if your love has a reason, then that also has a season, because in an earlier chapter we explored in detail that everything in the external world is subject to continuous change. So if I love you because you are a certain kind, then if you don't be that, then I don't love you. Then tomorrow again you start being that, then I again love you. So then I will always be in a state of flux. All right, I will share one incident with you. There is a young girl who comes to me, and once she said, my boyfriend told me that he loves me because I'm beautiful, I am talented, I am this and that. So I hated him for that. So I said, why? So he said, because love should be unconditional, sister. And if he says, I love you because you are beautiful and talented, then if I'm not talented or beautiful tomorrow, then he won't love me. So I said, yes, but then is it not the same for you? So she said, no, I love him unconditionally. So even if he earns or doesn't earn, or he is this or that, I will continue to love him. So I said, no, but you didn't love him because he didn't love you for who you are. So that is also a condition. So you put a condition that he should love you unconditionally, and because he's not loving you unconditionally, because he doesn't fulfill that condition, so you have come running to me. So then she said, no, but this should be a condition. So I said, it's the same for him. So then she said, no, but now I'm very confused. So do I also not love unconditionally? So I said, see, if you love someone and not another one, then there are definitely conditions, because why do you love this one and not that one? So there are reasons. Otherwise, you could love any Tom, Dick, and Harry. So why do you love this person and not that person? So there is a reason. There is always a reason. And if there is a reason, then this is subject to change. So it is conditional and it is subject to change. So she said, then what do you mean by love then? So I said, so basically, love does not fit into the idea of loving someone. So unconditional love doesn't mean you love somebody unconditionally, because when you love somebody, then it is conditional. So when you say about unconditional love, it is loving everybody and everything. That is my quality, and irrespective of who it is or what it is you love. So that is love. It's not like you love somebody. When you love somebody, there is a reason for it. And without a reason, you can't love anybody over anybody. Right? So this is how it works. So we move with this idea of unconditional love, unconditional happiness, but then all our love and happiness is conditional today, right? So we are trying to understand how it was in the beginning. So when we were soul conscious, we just loved. This energy of love was never blocked. I loved irrespective of what state of body I was in, what state of environment I was in, what kind of person I was with. This is my energy and I radiated it unconditionally. It was inside out. Happiness was inside out, didn't depend on the circumstances or the situation. It is my energy. My energy is truth and purity and honesty. So it didn't depend on whether somebody would judge me or label me or not. It is my quality. I operated from that quality inside out. So this was how it was in the beginning. Then what went wrong? Okay, so we will understand the journey of the soul today, your journey. So just visualize you crossing these phases, taking bodies, shedding bodies, moving through this journey of life, and then reaching here, right? So in the beginning, you were like this, and then you kept shedding one body, taking another body, shedding that body, taking another body. And there is a law in nature which is energy in motion depletes itself. Energy in motion depletes itself. Any energy that comes into action will soon be expended. So that energy will get less and less. So that is the law of nature. And since soul is an energy, and when soul comes into this karam kshetra, so you are coming into motion, into action, because this is Karam Kshetra. So if the soul is in the soul world, so there is a soul world also. All right, we will talk about that in a different chapter. But there the soul doesn't deplete on its own, because that is not a sphere of motion. That is a sphere of silence. But here in this sphere of motion, in this Kurukshetra, Karamkshetra, or field of action, when the soul comes and takes a body, leaves a body, and performs action, then slowly, gradually, it loses energy. And I told you that lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed are the darkness of the soul. So just like when the sun fades, the darkness enters. So when the soul leaves its energy or loses its energy, then these lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed enter the soul. Now we will also understand this whole process in a different fashion. So earlier, the source of your purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power, this is the food of the soul. The soul needs it, right? So the food of the soul was available within itself. So we were loveful, peaceful, pure, happy, blissful inside. Then what happened, when we started losing it from the inside, we started sourcing it from the outside. Just like if a person loses his leg, what he would do is he will take support with a stick. Okay? and then he will grow attached to the stick. Similarly, we first had our source inside, so the peace, purity, love, happiness, bliss, and power that we wanted was available from within us. We expressed it and it multiplied. Got it? So you do as you are, and you keep becoming as you are. So doing, being, doing, and becoming. So that was happening. Now slowly, when the soul lost its power, then it started sourcing its purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power from outside. And then what happened? Now you look around, where are you getting your purity from? We all want to feel pure. So what do you do when you want to feel pure? You take a good bath, you wear nice fresh clothes, preferably those clothes you wear for puja. So you have all special clothes which you wear when you do puja. So those clothes make you feel pure. Then what you do is, on Navratris or something else, you eat pure food. So these are the ways in which we make ourselves feel pure. Otherwise, a person gets this feeling, I'm not feeling pure within. Have you ever got this feeling? So I'm feeling very filthy inside, and then I want to do something so that I feel pure. So we are sourcing it from outside, right? Then what do you do for peace? You go to resorts, and you go to for nature walks, and you go to beaches, and you go to nature, and different forms of nature you go to for peace. And that is why people in the lockdown were very peaceless, because no access to nature. So you couldn't go to a resort, or you couldn't go anywhere to seek peace. So then people were very peaceless, because external sources were not available. So what do? You do these things for peace, or you ask somebody to shut up because you want to feel peaceful. Up, please chup ho jao, I want to have some peace. So you should keep quiet so that I can have some peace. So these are the ways we are sourcing our peace. Then there is love. So what are you doing for love? You have various social media accounts for love. So because we don't give love to people around us, so they can't give it back to us. So then we have to go to people who are like far flung, and people who don't know us really well, and who can't complain that we are not giving them enough love. So we create these social media accounts, and Facebook and Instagram, and I don't know what all. So when you do that, you get three things: acceptance, approval, and appreciation. Acceptance, approval, and appreciation. This is what we are doing for love these days. So every soul needs acceptance, approval, and appreciation. And we are not in a position to tell ourselves that you are okay even if nobody accepts you. So we keep looking for acceptance outside, appreciation, and approval outside. So this is how we are sourcing it from outside. And that is why if you receive a dislike on a social media page, it is very destabilizing and upsetting, because then you don't know who you are, because you are not validated anymore, and nobody is accepting or appreciating. So, and we do this with other people also, like in the office. We look for appreciation and approval and so many other things. You go to office to do your work and earn money, but now it has become about many other things. Okay, so, and I will also mention here, like, this sense of belonging, that because we are weaned away from ourselves, we are not connected with ourselves anymore. So we look for this sense of belonging, which is also an aspect of love from others. And that is why people have so much power over you. And you know what people do these days? When they want you to be miserable, they give you an indication that you don't belong to us. This is a very powerful tool. So when a woman gets married into a family, the family does this and they say, you cook here, you eat here, you live here, but you don't belong here. So don't try to assert that you are one of us. so so this is a sense of so it may not be true in every case, but in most cases it is true. When you live in a rented apartment in a society, then all the people who are living as owners in that society will tell you, you are living here but you are not one of us because you are on a rent and we are in our own houses here. So these are many ways in which this sense of belonging is withdrawn, or somebody tells you, I will not accept you, or I will not approve of you, or you are not worthy to be appreciated, and then we are in trouble because we are sourcing it from outside. And if you cannot love yourself and if you source it from outside, you are in a very, very vulnerable position. Okay. So, and you can see these in many incidents that are happening around the world today. So, when you look at others for approval, appreciation, and acceptance, you render yourself very, very vulnerable. So, this is what happens. Then, happiness. What do you do for happiness? You shop. So, shopping for happiness. So everybody is shopping for happiness. So there is one brother who comes to me and he said, sister, I like it when I come to the center and the center is so spacious and there is so much of vacant space in the center. And he kept saying space, space. So I said, you live in a big house and your house is a 5 BHK, and I know that. So why do you have to talk about space so much? You have a bigger house than the center. So he said, no, but I cannot invite you to my house because my house is not worthy to be invited into. So I said, why? So he said, my wife shops day in and day out, and every nook and corner of my house is filled with packets that she buys every day. And she has these stacks of clothes, and under the table, under the chair, everywhere there is things that she has bought. So I said, but then have you never discussed it with her? Why does she do this? So he said, no, I can't discuss it with her because she thinks that I am the reason why she does it. So I said, and why is it so? So he said, when I married her, I left her with my mother, and she had to take care of her while I was away earning bread. So she says that because she didn't get any happiness in life, this is her way to keep herself happy, and I can't challenge it now because she blames me for spoiling her whole youth and her whole life. So I said, okay, then deal with it. Then you have no reason to complain about space. so you sit on that chair which has heaps of dresses underneath, and you live this life because this is the equation you have created. So this is what happens. So happiness, if we don't understand that I can be happy in my own right, then you start seeking it outside. And the problem is, when you seek these inner things from outside, they will never be enough because that's not its genuine source. So when you are taking a bad substitute, it is never enough, and then you get into addiction. That's why traveling has become an addiction. That's why social media has become an addiction. That's why shopping has become an addiction. Because if you are taking a course of action which makes you temporarily fulfilled but is not a permanent solution, then you will need increasing quantities of it to give you that same amount of temporary satisfaction, and that increasing amount will get bigger and bigger every day. So this is how addiction takes place. And then bliss. So what are we doing for bliss? So bliss is something that a soul needs desperately, and some people take that bliss from food. So they eat all that is inedible and then they say anand aa gaya aaj. So I felt really blissful. So so this is one source of bliss, which is food. That is why food addiction is a big one these days. Then there is drugs and alcohol and other addictions, all for bliss. They give you a temporary high and they make you feel like it has quenched the core of your being, but then it is so temporary. You again seek it as soon as you feel that dip in that feeling of bliss. And then there is sexual engagement. So there is drugs, alcohol, there is food, there is sexual engagement, all this for bliss. Okay, so this is what we are doing for bliss. Then there is power. So what are you doing for power? So money and position. So money, position, labels, we are running after these because they feel us powerful and feel us in control of our external world, and they give us a sense of security and power, which is very short lived, but then they give you that temporarily, so you are running after it. All right, so this is how we are sourcing these things which should be sourced from the inside, from the outside. And there are two things that are happening in this pursuit. A, because that temporary source runs out very soon and then you are again empty, and again you need increasing quantities of it to give you that same experience. So you go into addiction about the external source. And then B, because you are sourcing it from outside, you are not using what you have within. Okay, so you are blocking your energy that is available to you within. And when you block that energy, one law says, if you don't use it, you lose it. So because you are not using your own reserve of purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power, that gets more and more depleted day by day. All right. So if I had no social media, what I would do is I would try to talk lovingly to people around me, or try to create loveful feelings for them. But now what do? You don't care for me, I don't care for you. So I am looking at the phone all day and I am not using my energy of love, so that it gets blocked more and less of it is available to me with each passing day. So this is what is happening. And in this whole journey, we are becoming more and more depleted day by day, and addictions are growing day by day. Okay, so this is the journey of the soul and how we lost our power. So how do we gain it back? By becoming aware that this energy is my own energy, and by using it in action. First, reminding myself that I am peaceful, loveful, so I have the capacity to be that in any situation and in the face of any behavior, and then using my energy and making it more and more available to myself. Okay, so if you want your inner reserves to flourish and grow, don't block them. Okay, so what is ego? When you start sourcing all these things from outside, you start getting attached to these external things, people, positions, labels, resources, and then this attachment is called ego. So whenever there is a change in that external source, you get affected, you get fearful, and it upsets you and destabilizes you, because that is your source. So that is called ego, and ego will always be attacked. All right. Does it make sense to you? So if you identify with the external, then you will feel vulnerable inside because the external is always changing. And ego means identifying with what you are not. Okay. So this is how it works. Thank you. So today we'll take the questions that have come and then have a short meditation. Okay. So in that question about somebody blaming you, here, so this person writes that he is trying dirty picture in front of everyone, how to respond. He is not ready to listen also. So if somebody has made up his mind to defame you, you can't stop them. So what you do is you don't help them. Why do I say you help them? So you might be thinking that why would you help them in your sane mind? But then this is what we do. We help the people who defame us. Let me explain this with an example. So there is a lady I know and she runs a boutique. And she had very good clients and very many clients. And her business was really doing well. Then there was a competitor who came in the market. And then that competitor started saying abusive and defaming things about this lady. Now, when this started and this lady consulted me, I told her, don't get sucked into their game. You focus on your work. People come to you for dresses and for fashion and for fulfilling their demand for correct kind of clothes. So if you give them what they are demanding, they will always be happy with you. But if you start investing your energy in what that other person is doing, you will not be able to focus very well on your work. And if your work suffers, you will lose your clients. So I told her this in the first day when she came to me. But then this is the way ego operates. So you start focusing on all that is not important. So then she started focusing her energy there. And then this made her so perturbed and agitated that her service, the way she was delivering to her clients, was not of that quality. And also what happened is, whenever some client came, it occurred to her that she should explain her position to that person, and that person is not interested. That person has come to take his order, but you are trying to convince them that you are better than the other person. So they all got sick of her, and then she started losing her client base. So then once I met one of her clients, and then they said, we don't get clothes stitched from her, we get it stitched from somebody else. So I said, why did you get affected by what that other person was saying? People tell lies all the time. Why did you have to get affected? So they said, no, we didn't get affected by what they were saying because we believed in this lady. She was there for so many years and we really believed in this lady. And it's not about them, it's about her. Her quality of service declined, and she had he literally used that word, oh pagal ho gayi thi. She had gone mad. All the time she would keep talking stuff which made no sense. So this is what happens. So don't help people who are defaming you by giving your attention and energy to them. Focus on your thing, and if you do that better, people will soon see reason. Okay. And I don't know how much you observe these things, but I observe these things a lot. So if you look at any trend, whether it is in the media or anywhere where somebody defames somebody, then what happens is these things have a turning point. So, nobody can defame somebody forever. People need entertainment. So this turns around. So 3-4 months somebody defames somebody, And then people also say, okay, yeah, this is happening, and this person is like this and this person is like that. But when people get bored and they need something else, they turn against the one who was defaming. So this is a matter of time also. And especially with this defamation thing, I feel defamation has a cycle, and it turns on the defamer after a certain point of time. But it only does that if this person doesn't exacerbate it. The person who is defamed, if they don't play along, only then this cycle turns. Okay, do you agree with this? Notice these things, it is very interesting. Okay, so never go by what people are saying about you, it doesn't last long. But what you do with your time and energy will last long. Okay. Okay, as you said, someone, my father has an extramarital affair because of that lady. My brother, me, and my mother suffered for 21 years. Then, should I still forgive that lady and remove the feeling of hatred? Yes, you should do this for yourself, because if you don't do this for yourself, then the external situation is miserable, but on the internal front, you will be even more miserable. And it doesn't stop your father from doing what he is doing. And I will also tell you one thing here. I have seen these cases a lot, and what happens is we don't react at the right time. So there is a time. So when the marriage starts and then there is something happening, even if the children are small, the lady should put the foot down and speak for herself. But what happens is we do not talk about it at that time, and then later it is too late. Too late to make that other person see any reason. So this is why we should not go into I am the victim and that person is the aggressor, because the aggressor is usually promoted by the victim. Okay, I don't know how much blunt this sounds, but this is true. So you should always know that it's also because nothing was done at the right time. So now you clear your heart, and because I told you, we don't have to judge another person, but we have to decide what I want to do and how much I want to be with this person. So if somebody is not treating you well, you don't stay with them. Okay, and you make them agree to your terms by at least threatening them here that you don't stay with them. So this is very important. This is about negotiation, and everybody should know how to negotiate in a relationship. So, and if you don't, if that is so important for you, don't settle for less. So you should know that I want this, and if this is not happening, I'm not settling for less. So everything is a decision, and if you've settled for less, then there is no point harboring that hatred and that malice for that other person, because you will only be damaging your internal world. All right. So there is a time to settle scores and there is a time to forgive. So now that time is over, so you forgive. So clear your heart. Okay, validation means if somebody tells you you're good, you are good. If somebody tells you you're bad, you're bad. So that is validation. Okay. If our own children do something wrong, it hurts. What to do? So you have to do your duty as a parent. You can counsel them, you can tell them, you can even use your power, that you are the one giving them finance or something, so you can threaten to withdraw that. your support or anything. You can use all the Samdam Dandabhed that is available. But again, if it doesn't work, then you have to leave it to destiny and not create that hurt, because creating hurt doesn't help. Okay, so it is not recommended that you don't try to discipline children. But I will narrate a case to you here. And there was this lady who told me that her son is on drugs, and she said that he has become a drug addict and this and that. And then I told her, okay, if who funds his drugs, so he must be taking money from you. So she said, no, if he kills himself, what do we do? He's living outside, or he borrows money from outside people and then they do something wrong because he's an addict, so then we have to give him money. So all this happened. Then she said, but I want him to leave drugs. So I said, okay, God will intervene and something will happen. Then one day she called me and said, my son met with an accident and he has his leg fractured. So now he has to stay at home and be on the bed for 4 months. So I said, oh, you should be congratulated for this, because now you don't give him drugs and he cannot go and get it himself. So he will become de-addicted, and he will lie down and bear with all the withdrawal symptoms and it will be fine. So she said, okay. Then she didn't call me about a month. For about a month, there was no call. Then I one day called her and checked on her and asked. So she was very hesitant in talking. So I said, what is the problem? What happened? Are you all right? Is the son all right? Then on inquiry, I found out that these husband and wife gave their son drugs because they couldn't handle his emotional pain. Okay, so why I am telling you this is because it is not children who are against us, it is our own emotions that are working against us. So if you want children to be with you, you have to work on your emotions, because it is our emotions that make them have their way. So in order to be because the role of a parent is to provide structure also, provide support, but provide structure also. And if we don't do that enough, then they go astray. I'm not saying that there is some art of perfect parenting. There is karma also. So it could be that you do everything right and still things go haywire, but at least check whether you are doing everything right. So that is also very important, right? Okay, family has to be loved in same manner without priority. How balance can be maintained? Yes. So when you are loveful, then every person in the world will feel that from you, and your family too. So when you are loveful and you have abundance of love, then even your family members will feel very loved, and this love will be very freeing and liberating, not binding and suffocating. Okay, so there is no balance. There is absolute, like total love that you can be. And when you are that loveful, the family also feels the same. So it's not like people around us will feel neglected and other people will feel loved. Everybody will feel loved. Okay. Can the soul stop changing bodies and can be in the soul world forever? Why do you want to be in the soul world forever? There is no experience in the soul world. We will talk about the soul world, but experience is all here. And we all love drama, so we should be here. Okay, otherwise we wouldn't be unhappy. So, is it necessary to offer puja? No, it is not. It is necessary to have your state which is pujya. So, you should be in a state which is worship worthy. It is not necessary to offer puja outside. Can someone focus only on doing good karma and strengthening our soul? This is not something you do in isolation. This is something you do in combination with whatever you are doing outside. Because if you neglect your duties, even that is bad karma. So if you're focusing on good karma, you have to keep doing your duties and also take care of your internal world simultaneously. Okay. Meet friends for happiness. Yes, that is also there. What if people are playing politics or ass licking the boss and it affects your promotion because you're not doing it? So ask yourself if you can do it. Okay. And if you can't do it, then why complain other people are doing it? And if you can do it, try doing it. I have tried it and failed. So I thought, okay, I'm not good at it, so let me stop it. Okay, so you can't complain about something you can't do. So they have a skill and they are using it, so you can't complain about it. Okay, family, society, profession is part of our several dimensions in life. Just like spiritual, physical self, they define our coexistence today and make us fall in line with the societal recognition. So, our race to the top of the line is set isn't a catch 22 situation. No, it's not a catch 22 because the spiritual growth is the foundation for everything else. So it starts inside and then it goes outside. It is not outside in and inside out both. Okay, so if you only focus on the outside, then slowly that outside will slip away from your hands. Okay, so this is why people who achieve a lot in life externally are very miserable inside at the end of their life. So, again, that will not be called holistic success. So, the spiritual foundation is required for success outside. Okay. How to understand the difference between ego and self respect? Yes, this is a big one. So, tomorrow is the day we will talk about the differences between greed and ambition, and ego and self respect, love and attachment, and all these differences we will cover tomorrow. All right. Chalo, Om Shanti. Let's meditate for 2 minutes and then we'll stop. Sit still and straight. Gently, mentally detach from your external context and arrive at the seed of your existence. I, the soul, am the seed of my existence. This whole tree of life stems from me. I am the origin of whatever exists on the external. See yourself as the tiny seed sitting behind the eyes of this body. Water this seed with self-confidence. Tell yourself, I am powerful and worthy. I am worthy because I am, not because of what I do or what I have. I am a being which is valuable and worthy. I have a right to existence a right to dignity, and a right to self respect, irrespective of external circumstances. Even if nobody respects me, I respect my existence. I am, and this is very powerful. Just sit in this feeling for some time. Om Shanti.